All right. Well, it looks like we're at the top of the hour. We got 42 people on. Seems like our membership is kind of kicking off on the low end here at the beginning. Anybody have any ideas why that's going on? Or are they just waiting for the demo to start
Bring fever.
1 hour in?
Summer coming.
Might be with the change
Summer.
in weather.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, could be.
I
But
don't see Brenda.
anyhow, so Captain messaged me the other day. He's not going to be with us, obviously for tonight. Probably going to miss next couple of nights. He had an accident. Nothing too major, but he kind of fell off his tricycle and banged himself up a little bit. So he's feeling under the weather. So everybody can keep him in our thoughts.
Hey, you gotta be kidding me. Oh, wow.
That'll be good. Well, he said he's banged up. To quote Eddie, he said, his fat ass got the better of him. So he's still got his humor about him. So, and then Sue called me earlier today. She's not going to be on tonight. She's got a headache. She had to sell her pickup truck, so she's got a headache about not having her truck anymore. So I told her I could feel with her on that because I know I'd have a headache and I'd be all depressed if I had to get rid of my truck. So we won't have a safety moment. She did say to say hello to everybody and everybody to be safe in their shop and everything else that you do. So she's with us in thoughts. Matt, are we getting anybody in for any gallery items tonight?
Yeah, we have 6 or 7 people in, so we can
let's-
start gallery if you want.
Yeah, let's go ahead and shoot some gallery in here, and then we'll try to get the demo on here in 45 minutes or so.
Okay. Again, if anybody has something they want to show tonight, please say so in the chat.
Put it in the chat.
And we'll put you on the list. So first up is Todd here. Let me go find him here and highlight him so we can see him.
I'm right here. I'm here. Trying to talk a little so you can find me.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a
You're
few
on, buddy.
items. I have a few items to show. So I had this little made a little bowl out of some African mahogany. Been trying to just like get better at the shapes and the depth of things and changing the way I do the foot a little bit on this. And then I had seen a demo from somebody, and I don't know if I can get it to focus. I did a
You can get up.
I did a pattern on the bottom of it that makes little diamonds with the embellishing tool by going at 2 separate angles across there for the first time. So I thought that was a neat thing for that. And I had this piece of walnut that had a bunch of rot going like down the middle of where the pith was. And so I took it and I turned it. And on one side, a little bit of the pith sort of stayed in there. On the other side, it popped out when I was making it. And it's got a little void in it and whatnot. But I really liked that little bowl right there. It turned out really nice. I'm really happy with it. And let's see, here was one that I did about 10 days ago with the Hampshire sheen dies on it. And I'm showing this one. I've shown some similar to this before, but on this one, I had used the Yorkshire grit and then cleaned the Yorkshire grit off and then had applied like 6 coats of lacquer over it. So that was an example of doing that
That's
with
nice.
the with the abrasive paste. And then let's see, I made a little goblet out of some Claro walnut, and I was going to have a much thinner stem, but there was a big void in the side of it, like right here, maybe you can see it, that went pretty far deep in it. So I sort of changed it to look more like a little chalice or something instead of like a typical goblet. And it was still a little wet, and so you can see how the rim of it has deformed since
Oh
I
yeah,
finished
yeah.
it. And so I like that little piece. And that piece of wood was about yay long. And so I had watched a Richard Raffin video on taking scraps and making small little bowls. And so I did a small little bowl with it. And I forgot to wear my t-shirt because I went a little deep on that one and joined the funnel club on that one. But
So
I
you now
ended up
have a design opportunity there, huh?
so you know what? I'm not going to throw it away. I'm going to do something with that. I'm gonna turn a little plug to go in there and embellish the top of it or something. I'm gonna do something with it and play with it to see what's
Absolutely.
going on with that. But I did a few little, small little bowls with like some spectral ply type of stuff and whatnot.
Oh, I like them.
And so and this one right here, I was holding it and that spectral ply gave out and it tore the tenon right off of it, and so I had to remount it once, and then left the tenon on that one as a foot, and was well, you can't quite see it, but left the tenon on it as a foot, and did those, and so that was fun. And then, like 8 months ago, I'd been to Hawaii right before Maui burned down, and I came back and I had a bunch of bottle caps. And I thought I would take those bottle caps, use the CNC to inlay them into the top of a piece of wood, and then turn it and have these bottle caps in the rim of a bowl. So here it is with them turned in there. But when the way I decided to glue those caps in there, those bottle caps, when I put the resin in it, it trapped some air underneath them. So when it came out of the pressure pot, that air expanded again. And it just horrible. So I parted it off of what was a thicker piece, and then and left the center on it, trying to make a bowl that came across the top a little bit more of a hollow form, and I messed that up too. And so now it's just a thin little plate. So I started off with about 3-inch thick, 12-inch wide thing, and now I have a little plate.
But it's a
you
lovely
go.
Looks nice.
light.
So yeah.
So Todd, next time you do bottle caps, take your resin and fill each of the bottle caps with a little bit of resin, and then set them down into.
I learned my lesson.
Okay.
Absolutely. It was just this on some of those there was so much air underneath them that now you can take and you can push it in. It gives.
That's a nice idea though.
So I've done similar things with just putting resin in there, put different shapes on. Somebody shared their desktop. But I've done a similar thing with just resin and use different shapes on there, and it's really neat effect. I really enjoyed it, and I was really psyched about this, especially since the fire happened like 3 weeks after we left Maui. I guess the fire on Maui burned everything out, and so I really wanted that little keepsake bowl with those. I brought back about 24 bottle caps, so I still have 12 more. So I'll do something with them.
So what would be cool for your next project is to do your platter, do your ring with the bottle caps, but make it a Saturn ring. Cut through that ring where it's one solid piece, where those caps rotate around your
That's interesting.
Platter.
Yeah, that's interesting. So yeah, so there I am. I think that's everything from me.
Right on. Good
Yeah.
stuff, Todd. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Who we got next, Matt?
Next up is Dave Kingsley here. So right
Here I am.
here.
I'm right here.
You're right there.
Yep.
I managed to get in the shop for a few minutes this week and did another little oak box.
Wow.
Nothing fancy. I managed to get a pretty decent grain match. And I put in a little ebony. I had a little piece of ebony and I said, it's too small to do much with, but I said, well, I'll make a little inlay with it.
That's
I
nice.
sort of like it. And then I bit off a little bit more than I can chew. I promised somebody a funeral urn. Oh man. I'd kill myself trying to hollow that thing. but I will. It'll take a while, but I'll get it.
Do it in layers. Do it in layers.
Cut it in half.
Yeah,
Oh, I started with a solid piece of cherry, so we'll see.
Yep, you got it, Dave.
You got hollowing tools?
Sort of. I have some. Well, there's
Sort of.
something I made myself, and I'm finding that they're
Well.
really not long enough. So
cherry.
struggle.
First of all, there's a good chance that's gonna do some cracking.
but I'm going to learn. I'm going to learn patience, if nothing else.
Very cool. Well, good luck. I'm sure you got it.
Thanks.
Thanks, Dave. Next up is Wayne.
Oh, hi guys. Oh no, I'm not muted. Okay, the piece that Ruby was talking about that I did the other week is this piece.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
A nice, it's a piece of sycamore, around about 13 inches diameter by around about 2.5 inches deep, with texturing and some color. It looks like it's just one color on there, but there's two colors on there. It's green and blue, the colors that are on there. Hopefully I'll be showing you this technique at some point in the future.
That'd be cool.
And the piece I did tonight is this.
Oh, wow.
Very
That's-
nice.
Tell how
Nice.
thin it is.
It's
Yeah.
around about 1/2 inch. It's the wall thickness is it's only around about 1/2 inch. Now this piece, it's around about 15 inch across at its widest point. I think it's around about maybe 2 inches deep. It started off around about 4.5 inches, but I had a void. You can just see the end of the void there. I had a void, which meant I had to take a whole load of stuff off the bottom before I could get a decent tenon. And I did use a tenon. How unusual for me! I used a tenon rather than a mortise. So I had to take a load of stuff off of the bottom before I could get a tenon on there. But this was a very, very dry piece of bur elm. Lots and lots of spalting in there, as you can see. And it's been finished with lemon oil. And when I was doing the inside with the lemon oil, I put it on the lathe bed and put the overhead camera on and poured the oil in to brush it off. And I poured the oil in and it just soaked straight in. And I never got a chance to brush. I never got a chance to brush
As
it.
it would.
I mean, oh man, yeah, very, very punky, very, very spalted, but another enjoyable live. I had a night turning that.
Good.
Am I seeing moss in that?
Yes,
bark?
yeah, on the edges there. Yeah, you can, oh, especially there. Yes.
Yeah, that's
you,
cool.
You can still see the green bits in there. I didn't bother sanding them out or anything. I just left them in because I thought it looked pretty cool.
Yeah, I do too.
Believe it or not, he got that
Right
done
on.
in about 50 minutes.
Yeah, yes, Al. It was about 50 minutes. Start to finish.
That's
Wayne,
normal, Pat.
since you had a hollow, would the piece have worked better if you had put the tenon on the other side?
I actually thought I thought about I did initially think about doing this as a natural edge, although it is a natural edge at the moment, but a different type of natural edge. If I'd done the other way around, it would have ended up around about 10 inches across as a circle.
Okay.
But I wanted to do something that was more to do with the outside shape, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
rather than have a circle with the natural edge. I think
you.
this one turned out better.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Yeah, very nice.
Very good. Well, thanks, Wayne.
That's my two, guys. There you go.
Right
Yeah,
on.
beautiful.
All
Yeah, it's
right.
beautiful.
Well, we have
Nice.
we have an opportunity for a double demo tonight. So I've got a real quick 15-minute demo that Casey just said he would put on for us here. So let's go to Casey. Hey, Casey, tell us what you're going to do. You're muted.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right. Hey guys, how are you? So my wife and I got a message that there was some red oak down today, and what we did was we went out and got some. I'm trying to turn my camera around here. So what I did was I'm just doing some bowl blank processing. Thought maybe this might be something you might want to see. I'm sure it's really common knowledge to everybody, but decided to give it a go. So here's a couple crotch piece that I had. Let me so this crotch piece, as you can see, what I did was I chainsawed it, took off the edge where the bark was, went right
Yep.
down the center where the pith is, pith, went right down the center where the pith is, and there's two halves, and this is one of the halves, and you can see what the grain looks like. And so, way I process them, I'm sure there's 1,000 different ways, but I get my compass out, and I got my old Harbor Freight tape around it, the magic marker, and I basically try to line up where the edges are, depending on the diameter that I want. And I'm trying to stay right down the center where the feather fans are, where the two crotch pieces bifurcate. Right down the center is where those feather fans are. So I'm just looking to see where the edges are. I'm trying to maximize, not necessarily the piece of the wood, but the figure of the wood. And so I think this is, now there's some flame here too. I kind of would like to get that in, but all right. So then I just take my circle, mark it, and I put a little mark right here in the center. And that's going to be my bowl blank. So then I come over to the bandsaw here. And I hope this is not too loud. If it is, let me know and I'll mute it.
Nah, Zoom will muffle it.
Good old technology. All right. So I'm just going to kind of rough turn this blank here, or rough cut.
We gotta love that noise cancellation.
Oh, I know, right?
Really?
Need that in my shop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that a thing, Jim?
It's called earplugs.
So the top.
He's staying on that line so good. It looks like the outside was turned already.
Yeah.
He's done it a couple times.
Yeah.
What blades you got?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask the same thing. What kind of blades does he have?
It's called
It's very
sharp.
thin. It's very thin.
Sharp.
I want to know if it's carbide or not.
Yeah, you're right, Doug. Yeah,
His
you're
shop-
Sue, you're
His
Sue,
shop.
you're right.
His shop. His shop.
Yep.
And
folks.
that's that.
Right on, Casey.
So
Very nice, Casey.
The other one I
Very good.
have is I have another crotch piece, but I'm gonna try to keep this one natural edge. So what I do is
Yeah.
I have one of these fabricated homemade boards that I slide into my grooves here.
Yep.
And I know there's some guys that do the circle on top here. For some reason, I just have a hard time seeing it, cutting it. So I drill a little hole, put my little pin in there, and then I line it up to the diameter. I have a bunch of holes here drilled based on the desired diameter. And this one's going to be about 12 inches. So I just drop the pin in the hole. And again, I just kind of go to work. And this one, I just turn it. Lift it out.
Perfect.
So hopefully, came in my circle 12 inches. And hopefully when I turn this, I'll be able to leave some of the bark on and maybe have a nice little natural edge with the crotch piece.
That's nice.
Great blanks.
So, yeah, I got lucky, huh? Free wood, can't beat
You
it.
sure did. Right?
So, yeah, that's pretty much all I did. So I just wanted to kind of maybe do a quick little demo to show, everyone how I do it at least.
What
Right
you
on.
might
Good
wanna
idea.
do- What you might want to do is put end grain sealer all around the exposed wood that doesn't have bark on it.
Yeah, I'm sure he's gonna do
You
that.
got it. You got it.
There it is.
Good man.
Yep. So cutting them up, got a few more, but I'm just gonna knock them out. But yeah, end grain sealer. A couple of the pieces I add, I'm gonna use for pepper mills, trying
There
to
you go.
savor some of it. So got some pen blanks,
Good
but
score.
what other hobby do you get all the wood for free? Material for free, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, red oak is really pretty too.
Yeah.
It's nice. So yeah, so I got a few pieces, but that's about it.
That'll work. Thanks, Casey.
Excellent.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
All right, Matt, let's go back to gallery.
Yeah. So the next up, Al, put your video on, please. Al's
There he
next,
is.
but he won't put his video on, so we can't highlight him.
I put a new screen on my phone, and it's like a thicker one. So I don't know why. Anyway, we were talking about the weather changing and stuff. Making some of these little bird houses. You cut you take a log now. Thanks to Ruby, I can't look at anything and say I can't do something with it now. So any log, you cut an inch off, and you put that aside, and you put a tenon on one end, and you hollow it out. It's all hollow, complete hollow. This goes outside. Most of the neighbors have one. There's just a couple more that I'm starting to make. There's a little hole you put a hook in it and you hang it on a tree, and yes, the birds go to them. And then you have two screws. You put the bottom back on, so every year you could take the bottom off and clean it out and put it back on.
I made one, and the only problem I have is that the birds won't vacate it in the wintertime, so I can clean it.
You made it too nice.
There was this isn't finished. This is what I just had on. It's not finished at all. This is I watched Wayne and Mark last Wednesday, where you take a piece of wood, you round off. I still have the tenon on it. You cut a piece off, you put it aside, and you hollow the inside out, And well, I've got this still. I'm not ready to clean the middle here out yet. It should be more round. But this is the first time I did any texturing and any coloring, and it was still on the lathe, and I got one of those 3M pads, a green one, and it kind of blended it all together. But I don't know where to go with that. Should I just go and put a finish on it from there? That's my question. One of the questions. But yeah, it's hollow, and it's supposed to show you that it only has a small hole on the top of it. But I thought it was a really nice idea, Wayne. It was cool. So thank you.
cheers, Al.
Yeah,
Thank
you don't have to finish it till you're ready. You could add more colors and add
So
more,
now, that's one of the questions. That's the very first time that I did anything like that, and I watch Wayne, and I watch a lot of people all the time do it. And again, which I mentioned earlier, I don't use any air guns because I don't have them. That was just some that was just some Rit dye after I put some black paint on it, and then I hit it with my Dremel.
Yeah, you don't have to use an airbrush, Al.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Okay, I do, but you don't have to use an airbrush to put color on. And the other thing he asked, could you do more texture on that? Yes, you could, and you could put different colors on once you add more texture. You can use sponges, you can use brushes, you can use just about anything to put color on a piece. You don't have to use an airbrush.
Plastic shopping bags, wadded up, a little bit of dye on it.
Right.
Exactly.
Yep.
There you go. That's a good one. Thank you. Thank you.
So if you go back to my veggie smasher, I demonstrate how to do it with the plastic bag technique.
I'll have to look. Another thing, I don't know, Doug, are you on yet? Doug Miller?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, Doug's here.
We've been talking, a little bit back and forth. Ronald Kane, did I say his name? Doug?
Yeah.
I've been hollowing this thing out. Right now, I still have it in a clamp. It has moved about a half of an inch in. What it's called is a self-hollowing vessel.
Self-closing hollow form.
Self-closing.
Yeah, self-closing hollow form. If anybody hasn't seen it, Ronald
Dutchman
put the video out at the beginning of last week, I believe it was.
Mm-hmm.
It's really it's great.
It is really good. If you haven't seen it, go across and watch it.
It really is. So I mean, it just got out of the water this morning, and I didn't. If you saw something I posted on Facebook, what I have, I mean, it's great, but I don't have enough. I was working with just a 2-inch hole, and it was nice and big around. And how else can you get in there? I mean, the only thing I had was just a piece of wire, and I was holding it to go in the 1-inch hole. And I was measuring on the outside where to go. But I don't know. Is there any other way? I mean, I'm here hobbying. I mean, it's no big deal. But is there another way?
No, I'll tell you what, Al. The thing you've got there with the piece of wire works exceptionally well. It really does.
It does.
When you're doing hollows. Okay, you can buy all the expensive stuff, but you've got a lumber wire there that you can gauge up to a wall thickness, and it will work.
I wasn't patient enough. I wasn't patient enough. The whole piece was bigger. I worked on it quite a few hours on the inside, and I kept feeling. I said, "Well, okay here." But here I was like almost an inch thick.
Well, if you watch Ronald's on the area where he was going to make the cut, he
Right.
drilled several small holes, and you could tell by those small holes your thickness.
I should, that's another way I would have known. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's another way I would have known.
Yeah.
But anyway, a bunch of work, but
I give you a lot of credit because that's not an easy piece to do.
Absolutely.
I just, you know what? My wife says to me every day, "Don't you have something to do out there?" So, I find that to be, a challenge. I just, I don't know everything yet. I'm just learning a little bit now. So it's a nice one. And I'll see what happens in a couple of weeks, and I'm going to show it. I'm going to show it for sure.
Right on.
A lot of
That's the
crazy
first
work.
one. You gotta make a second and a third one.
You know what? I am.
Yeah.
It's not difficult. Believe me, watch it's like a 25-minute video. Believe me, he is pretty good. He's pretty good.
Yes, he
I
is.
highly recommend him.
All right.
Ronald Kane.
Right on.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Al.
All right, guys. You have a good evening, everybody. Thanks,
Thanks, you
Ruby.
too, Al.
we
Next
got
up
next?
is our buddy Jim.
Here we go. Says I'm muted.
You're here.
Now you're
Oh,
not.
you're
Gotcha.
fine.
I made another spiral. This is 2 colors.
Oh, neat.
So you get one on the back and one on the front.
It makes you dizzy.
That is unbelievable, Jim. That is. I'm just shaking my head.
No, I did the offset to the side, to this side. I could have done it across the sides. The next one will be across the sides, but anyway, it works kind of neat with the 2 different colors.
Mm-hmm.
God.
That looks great, Jim.
Thank
Jim,
you.
you spin that thing around, you're gonna hypnotize everybody.
Oh, yeah. When it's going around, you don't see that. I do it pretty fast. So if you slow down, you fall on the floor. But being this way, this is the center of the piece. These are 1 inch in diameter. They're offset 1/4 of an inch this way, and on this side, it's offset 1/4 of an inch this way. So that makes a 1/2 inch. So that puts that bar on the other side right through the center of the piece.
Mm-hmm.
So all these rings then are a 1/2 inch offset, so they all match up going up here, or they should.
I think you should do a demo of that, Jim.
I agree.
I have done some. I don't have a camera in my shop, and I just don't have enough time to. I got so damn many things I'm doing. I don't know which way is up. But yeah, I've got a bunch of versions of this, but this turned out kind of neat with the 2 sides.
Mm-hmm.
That's more than kind of neat, Jim.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll tell you
Very
that
cool,
for
Jim.
sure.
What else you got?
that's it.
That's it.
Excellent. Beautiful.
I could do another one. I don't remember. I got one more I could do similar. This was red oak. And it's got some kind of pecky something in it. I don't know what it is, but
Mm.
That looks nice.
Oh, that's kind of interesting.
it is, but it kind of takes away from the other. I think it'd be better if it was plain, but this is a wall hanging. It's got a hook on the top.
Yep. Is that done on 3 cenders, Jim?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the centers are out here. When you pick a center, you got to make sure you got enough swing on your lathe. So,
Yeah.
Sure.
it took me.
All hands on deck.
Yeah, it doesn't take too long to figure that out. But anyway, I'm trying to save some time.
Yeah, it only turns one time, right?
You got it.
That's nice, that's nice.
I've never seen oak with that in it, and like,
Okay, so what, you start out, what, maybe 2 inches thick?
no, it's about
No, I
7/8.
mean, you start out with.
It's
Okay.
about 7/8 thick. And here again, well, center of the piece is here, but I dish down to the top of these, the top of these ribs,
Mm-hmm.
and the back is flat. I wanted the back flat, and I wanted about a 3/16 thick rib, so I leave that 3/16 there. And this is another 3/16 rib on the top of here, so that's 3/8. So I have to dish this down to the top of here. When you do this, you use a bar that goes across this whole thing with a, I have a brass rod, a piece of 1/8 brass rod goes down. You reference everything off of one surface. So when you're turning this, you reference from here to here, then you reference from here to the bottom of the grooves. So you don't compound your.
Yeah,
That's better. That's better.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And you turn the back of that last?
Either way. I draw it on the wood and then I turn. Usually I turn on the drawing, but
What are you using for a cutter, Jim?
just a parting tool.
Parting tool, like a 3/16 or less?
Probably an 1/8. That's another thing when you're cutting a rib. Once you've cut this groove here, you start to cut this groove. You stay in the middle of here and take the waste out of the middle, and then work your way toward that groove, toward that rib. Don't cut next to the rib because you could break the rib off. If you start in the middle of this and open up both ways, you can cut your last cut. You're only taking a 64th of an inch or something. You're just shaving.
Yeah. Is your cutter by hand, or you have a gauge or something, something to hold it up against?
Oh, that'd be too easy. No, no, it's all by hand.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's all by hand. They're not too bad.
Amazing stuff, Jim.
I've made some big ones. I've shown other ones, haven't I?
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
you have.
Yeah, you have.
This
Yeah,
is
they all look good, but I've
It's
tried
always
it.
amazing.
Knock the ribs off,
I got a whole bunch of, like Ruby, I got a whole bunch of stuff. I have sold it, but I have to sell my stuff because there's just not enough room to put it in the house. So,
My wife is telling me that now.
yeah. Anyway, that's it
My
for
wife
me.
said build a bigger house.
Yeah. No, I'm not doing that either.
Yeah,
Thanks,
always-
Jim. Great stuff.
Thank you.
Next up is Terry.
Yeah, that's a real good trick. Put me in behind Jim. I'm telling you. What did I do to make you mad?
Well, you signed up behind him.
Right, I was toying with saying, and now following Jim.
Yeah. Well, I just thought I'd give you an update on my flower root, or whatever we want to call it. I'm not sure if I can get the camera turned around. I'm working on it. It's nothing is set in stone, but that's
that's
that's what we showed last week. That's it.
looking great.
It's supposed to be a John Jordan bowl. I'm gonna move in a little closer on it. This is like my fourth shot at making something for the inside of it, and that one come out pretty good. I was kind of happy with it. The little fuzzies on top are cocktail toothpicks. I cut them off and drilled holes in there and stuck them all in there.
There you go.
And I put some yellow ones in the middle. I don't know if you can see them. Nothing's set in stone. It ain't glued together. And the bottom of it is just an ugly old rotten out burrow. I don't know if I'm going to leave it or not, but
Looks great.
It
looks great.
I cleaned it up with a little wire wheel. It's pretty shot. I might leave it. I just shot some lacquer on it to give it a little gloss. I still see a little bit of the tendon there, but I could just go ahead and color that probably so it wouldn't stand out. It's still got a lot to go. Nothing set in stone, but it,
Well, hey, Terry, what
Yeah.
what did you? Okay, obviously, I mean, you started with a log, and it looks like you had I'll say what, a 2-inch hole in the top,
yeah.
and okay, there's a lot of hollowing. How did you know where to go and how to stop? I mean, this is similar to what I had just showed, and I'm it's a lot of
Well,
work. And I'm wondering how did you?
I've got different things that I measure with, but this piece was never designed to look like this. It was designed to be a John Jordan style carved vase, but up at the top, right here, I got it too thin. And when I went to carve the line, I went through it. So Jim Duxbury, I showed it several meetings ago, and Jim said might try to make a flower out of it. So I threw it back on the bench, and then one day I wasn't doing anything, and I decided I would try to make a flower out of it. So that's my shot. I still don't, it's not done. It's got a lot of sanding to do, and I don't know whether to try to put any paint on anything or what. I painted the center, and I was thinking maybe it needed some on the inside of the petals to make it stand out a little bit. I don't know. I'm still a work in progress.
That's my question. How is that inside there? Is that something you
How
made?
is it what?
How is what you have inside there? What is that? Is that something that
It's just a piece of wood that I turned to make it look like kind of like the center part of a flower. And
okay,
on the top of it, I put some yellow paint on it.
It's a
and
separate. It's a
put
separate.
a little red paint on it, and I was thinning it down. It's acrylic, and I was thinning it down with water, and it ran down the side. And I was going to try to clean it off, and I said, "No, that looks pretty good."
Right, that looks fantastic.
So I left it there. Like I say,
yeah.
the little fuzzy things are cocktail toothpicks, and I cut them all off and drilled little holes in there and stuck them in there.
That's a lot of good contrast for sure.
Yeah, you see the middle's got some orange ones in it. They had orange and red ones I had. I don't know. It's got a lot of work to do. Maybe I'll show it again someday if I ever need to sand on it a while. I was thinking about trying to make some, just carve out to make a little, look like a few more leaves were coming out of the base of it, but I don't know. Not go through it, just kind of give it some detail. I'm not sure.
That's an idea. I mean, it's pretty right now.
Yeah, it doesn't have any finish on it or anything. It's not glued together. It's just so that I could, like I said, that piece in the center, that's the 4th attempt at it. I tried a whole bunch of different things, and I like that one the best of so far. But anyway, that's what I got, guys. And we'll,
right on, Terry. Thank you.
That's impressive. Back over to you. And,
Thank you, Terry. Very nice.
Yeah, very nice for sure.
It's starting anyway. It might go somewhere.
Who we got next?
Next up is Sheila.
Hello.
Howdy.
Hello there.
I have a couple things that I did some burning on. I finally got a burner that works. So
wow.
Very nice, Sheila.
Thank you.
Good. Sure.
I burned some flowers and then I painted them on this one.
Looks nice.
Whew.
And it's kind of, yeah.
No, it's beautiful.
Thank you. And then this one, I did too. I didn't paint this one. I had posted the first one and asked people, should I color it or should I not color it? And somebody said, make 2 and do 1 of each. So I did. And this one has just some kind of beads on top of it. And you probably can't tell, but I tried to do some chatter work on that, on the inside.
Yep.
Oh,
sure
yeah,
so.
we can see it. Very nice.
I made a chatter tool out of an old putty knife. So, that's it.
Very nice.
Looks great. Looks good. I like them both.
Yep, very cool, Sheila.
Thank
So
you.
next up is Charlie here. Get to
Yes,
him.
I'm here.
And we can hear you. There
find
you
me?
are. Yep.
All right.
Whoops.
My mother's favorite hymn was about lighthouses. And when she passed away, we put it on her tombstone and it just wasn't right. So we're going to put a lighthouse on her tombstone.
Very cool.
Very cool, Charlie.
And I never make just one.
No,
You gotta
of course
make
not.
My wife will claim, would have claimed, if it had just been that one, she'd have claimed that one. So I had to give her options.
that looks
I'll
good
tell
too.
you. Yeah, they're
Smart
cool.
man
Light
here.
in there.
Very
And
good.
it's there's solar light. There, it's on.
Oh, wow.
Looks nice.
Real nice.
And this one I left the bark on. This one is birch. The others are cedar.
Okay.
That light come on.
Where did you get the element?
Solar lights out of Walmart. Just take them apart. 97-cent solar lights. And
Great
then
idea, Charlie. Great idea.
that's just old necklaces cut go around it.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
Very, very cool.
But that's it. I've had a bad week. Wasn't home. Wasn't bad. It just wasn't home.
Hey, Dane, do you want to go to the demo next?
Is that it for Valerie?
We've got some more. We got some more folks on the list if you want.
Yeah, let's take it to the top of the hour.
Okay. So next up is Craig.
Greg.
You're muted, Craig.
Okay, is that better?
There you
Yes.
go.
All right.
Some bones.
Well, I've been doing a lot of work with the barn wood. I've got a whole bunch left to bring home that the lady gave to me. I had some 2x12 piece that I brought home the last time, and I made some discs just big enough to go on my lathe. I can only do maximum 12-inch. And this is my first plate.
That came out nice.
Yeah,
Yes,
it really
it did.
did. And it's got 4 coats of tung oil. And I'm really liking how easy that stuff is to work with. So,
Cool.
but I did that. This only has 1 coat. I finished it yesterday.
Very nice.
And it's actually 3 pieces of wood. The reason I brought this in was the middle piece is a solid section. The top and the bottom were another piece that I just took on my scroll saw and cut about 1 inch ring off of it. I glued the bottom on, and before I glued the top on, I thought I'd better check on clearance, because that Harbor Freight lathe I got, the motor sticks out on the 12-inch lathe, and it did. So I turned the bottom and the outside first. Then I had to glue on the top piece. So it was like a 3.5 day project just on gluing and turning it and everything. But I did the burnishing with the string like a lot of people do. But one of the joints is right here, and the other joint is here, and I added a third one just to, so it didn't look like it was hiding the joints. But I figured on the outside, that way it would kind of camouflage. And the thing
Sure.
I'm real happy with is how the grain almost lined up. Some areas darn near perfect, other areas are close.
Very good.
Looks fantastic. Looks
Sure
fantastic.
does.
Well,
Looks
thank you.
great, Craig.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And I didn't do as much on the bottom, but I did do a few beads here and type of wood. Trying to figure out, I can't just put a 150-year-old barn because the oldest part was 150 years old. The newer part was only about 80, 90 years old. So
You can put 150 on it. If it's got 150-year-old wood in it, that works.
yeah. So, all right, but that's it. That's all I got today. Appreciate it.
So
Thanks,
Craig,
Craig.
so Craig, on your lathe, and for folks that have those lathes where the motor sticks out, what a good remedy to get around that lathe motor is to buy yourself a $25 spindle adapter, and it'll move your spindle out a good 2-3 inches.
Oh, okay.
And then you put your chuck on that, and now you're not up against that motor on your
Okay.
pieces.
Yeah, I thought about putting a sacrificial piece in there and doing it that way,
Mm-hmm.
but I figured I had enough wood that I was going to have to be cutting and everything. I didn't want to mess with putting a sacrificial piece in there.
Go get yourself a spindle adapter. You'll be happy.
That's a great idea. I appreciate it.
Stop fighting it.
Yep.
Thanks, guys. Whoops, who's doing that?
What we got next?
Hey, Matt.
We got Gary's up next. Hang on a second.
Hey, Gary.
There
Yep,
he
go
is.
ahead, Gary.
Hey, sir. Was that my base? Did the base pop up a minute ago?
Yeah.
I've got to try that again. I'm going to try to show something, Matt. That
Okay.
This okay. Can y'all see that?
Yes, we can.
The vase?
Yep. Yes, we can see. We can see the
Okay.
vase.
Matt,
good.
after watching your demo, I did some ribbon finials, and I demoed
Very
it
cool.
at my club. And this is one of my club members from North Alabama that did this, and it's a little vase bored out with a cube in it. And I just wanted to show that your ribbon finials are spreading all over.
That's fantastic. I love seeing it. That's great.
All right.
Thanks, Gary.
Now,
Very nice.
That's all I had. Let me see if I can you dump that picture?
Yeah, I can make it stop sharing. There you go.
There you go. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary.
I actually,
Yep.
hey, I actually shared a photo.
There you go.
Hey,
Nicely
now I know how to
done.
do it.
You remembered from last week?
Yep. Next up is James.
How are y'all doing?
James.
We're good. How are you?
Good, good. I've got a little resin bowl with the black lines are very large pine cone tops. Acorn tops, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, and had a little bit of major issue with it. It jumped off the lathe. It took a couple of chunks out of it.
Uh-oh.
But it's going to go on the display case of the house anyway.
Sure.
That's pretty
Very
nifty.
nice. Wow.
Thank you.
Looks good.
Thanks. And that's all I've got.
All right. Thank you,
Must have
James.
been- Those must have been really huge acorns.
They are. Really nice. They measured about an inch and a half across.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. One of our club members has a tree out there by his house, and it produces like that every year.
Wow.
That's
To
huge.
see the size of the
They were.
squirrels that eat that.
Yeah.
right?
lot of work.
They're fat.
Those are big spoons,
Yeah,
let
right.
me tell you.
Like to see them in my frying pan.
Yeah, buddy.
A lot of work to do that. The resin and
Yeah,
stuff.
it's once you get the system down, it goes pretty quick. And then you got
I've been watching some of you. It's not something I've never done yet, but there's a lot of work to that.
yeah, it's once you get organized, it doesn't take long to mix the resin and to pour it. You've got roughly about with Alumilite, you've got about 15 minutes to get it all mixed up before it starts to set up. So if you've got everything laid out in your molds, whatever you're going to put in the mold and the colors, you could do it about 10, 15 minutes and then get it in the pressure pot and I let mine sit for about 2 to 3 days.
Mm.
And then I pull it out and I just put it aside and kind of let it age. And, but
Very
it's a lot of
nice.
fun. If you watch Keith Flackner on YouTube, he does a lot of it. And he's very informative.
Very cool. Could you put a link to his channel in this chat, maybe, James?
I'm not sure how to do that.
Okay. Don't worry about it then.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I don't know where I
that's
sent
pretty-
you. Yeah, just look
That's
at
pretty-
for Keith Flackner. And he does a lot of it. He's got a couple books out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
All right.
All right,
Thanks.
next up is Howard.
Roll Tide.
Muted, Howard.
Still muted.
Okay. There you go.
All right.
Now we got you.
My wife, last couple of days, she's been locked up in the closet. Last week down at Bug Tussle, somebody took a picture of a black bear roaming around. And then 2 days ago, someone else, a couple other people took some pictures of black bear over on Chigga Ridge. And last night, somebody took some pictures of black bear coming into the woods behind my house. So my wife, she's been kind of locked up in the closet all day and scared half to death. So anyway, but maybe we make it through without the black bear coming into the house. But anyway, I got a vase here.
Beautiful.
And it's made out of cherry. And the pyrography is just done with a little burner. And I don't know if you can see the base. That's the base to it. And but anyway, I just kind of went crazy on the design. I don't know what in the world it represents or anything. So anyway, but the color is India ink, and it's hollow. And so I don't think we got a black bear down in there. But anyway, I better not say that. My wife, she'll probably hit me or something.
It looks big enough.
She's about,
Yes.
That is just
Probably a little one in there.
yeah. So anyway, here's the finial, and the finial is maple, and this is black India ink, and the red is India ink, same as this up here. So anyway.
Hey, no. I mean, I've been talking about this most of the evening. How did you hollow it down? How did you hollow it down? That
Well, I had a tenon on this end.
Right.
I put a steady rest on it.
Right. Okay.
To hollow out. And I have a Trent Bosch hollowing stabilizer. He calls it stabilizer. And but I don't have the laser or the TV camera. I got the laser, not the TV camera. And that's usually pretty good at about 6-7 inches. Then I have a Jameson hollowing outfit that can, with a 1-inch bar, and it can go on down here to the bottom.
Wow.
So
all right. Okay.
and
Believe me, I've been experiencing this past week or so. I'm sorry, but I'm fascinated of the deep faces. I'm fascinated. There's a lot to it.
And I got a what they call the holler roller. It used to be made in Canada, but I think there's a company down in Florida that still makes it, and it's 1.5 inch steel bar, and you can go about 32 inches in with the.
Well, again, I mean, the time that it takes. What kind of cracking did you get?
Well, I usually twice turn pieces. So I turned this down and left the wall thickness about 3/4 of an inch thick. And then I submerged it in denatured alcohol for a day, took it out, wrapped it up in a paper bag and let it hang out on the shelf for about a month, and took it out of the bag and let it sit on the shelf there for about 2 or 3 months, and then it's ready to go. And then I haul it on down to, I think this is about 5/16, maybe 1/4 inch thickness. And I coated the inside with black enamel. That way, you know, if a black bear is in there, you can't see him.
Can't see him.
No, you can't see him. So anyway, any other questions? This is Cherry.
Beautiful piece.
That's what made me question you, because cherry, sometimes it cracks as you're spinning it.
Yeah, and this was a tree trunk. You can see the pith right here. There's the pith of it. So usually I try to take it down, and sometimes before I put denatured alcohol, I'll try to seep some NCA glue down through that pith. But this pith was pretty closed up. So I was lucky. But if you're hollowing, especially on something that hangs out from your headstock that long, you got to have steady rest here to hold it on there.
Right.
If not, it's just going to come flying off of it.
Right. That's beautiful. That's
thank
beautiful. Really, I mean, my goodness. Jeez.
And hollowing is a long process. You got to take little bitty bites and creep your way down. It's not fast.
Have some compressed air to blow it out too. Gotta have compressed air to blow it out.
It is.
You do a little bit when you first start, and you're only 1 inch or 2. You're constantly stopping and blowing the air out constantly, you know. And then finally you can, as you work it, you know, hollow
get more
to a certain point, then you can start working on back. That gets a little bit easier. But when the shaving builds up, man, you got to stop. You better pull that tool out, because it's going to
it'll start jumping on you and everything else, right?
Yeah, it'll grab it. So you got to take your time, be patient with it.
How long will it take you to do that?
Well, once I got it, you know, dried out and everything to do it.
Right.
Probably one morning, 3-4 hours. Well, see, after it's dry, most of it's hollowed out except for about 3/4 of an inch.
Oh yeah.
And then second I work on it, I'm trying to get it down to 1/4 of an inch or less. And it's lots of time, you know, going in, measuring everything.
Well, I mean, the rest of the drawing that you have on the outside.
Yeah. Now that took about a week.
My God.
And I use lots of pencils and erasers, and because I'll draw it and erase it and draw it, erase and draw and erase, and draw and erase. And I wore out several erasers, probably used about half of an eraser on this, because usually I'm so unhappy with it, and I'm kind of unhappy with this too, because that's not what I had. What I had in mind when I first started. And I have a bad thing of as I'm doing it to change things. And then I get kind of mad because I change it and try to fix it and stuff. So
Yeah, you're just listening
anyways.
to the wood.
All right, hey,
Well,
Howard, I'll shoot you my address if you're that unhappy with it.
Yeah, I'll try to help you. I'll try to help you.
You'll have to fight my wife, but you might can win because she's still locked up there in the closet, still afraid of that bear.
You know what? I would be too.
Very good.
All right.
How much did you pay the guy to run around with a bear suit?
That's good, Charlie.
All right,
All
well, we
right.
got one more person. We got one more person on the list.
Whoa.
All right, let's
Want to
let's
get
do one
want to get
more and
Bob
then
in.
go to our demo.
Yep.
Hey, it's Birdhouse Bob.
Hey, how's everybody doing? All
We're
right,
good.
it's been a while for me, but I'm back. So I got a
Oh.
boat I did. Light didn't do too good.
There, yeah, much better.
I did textured it on the bottom
Mm-hmm.
and used the Josiah paints on the top and top rim. And you can't really see it very well, but I textured the inside the rim.
Yeah, we got it.
That's nice.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Well, thank you. That's all I got tonight, but I'm trying
Well
to get
done.
back.
Nice, Bob.
Looks good, Bob.
That's real good.
Yeah,
Thank
looks
you.
great, Bob.
Good to see you.
That's not all you got, Bob. You got a smile on your face. Happy to see that. I see you got a smile on your face and we're happy to see you.
Well, thank you. Happy to be seen.
So,
Right.
so how did you texture that, Bob?
I use the what's it? The Arbortech. They've got a little kit of about 3 or 4 things, and one of them's a small ball. And I went through and just used the ball and made the just random little cuts in there, and then painted it. And did some real careful taping.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Nice work.
Not bad for an old piece of poplar.
Yeah, you sure dressed it up.
That's the same thing now.
You don't have to use real expensive wood for everything.
No.
Especially if you're going to throw color on it,
That's right. If you're gonna paint it,
texture it.
it doesn't make
Yeah.
that much difference anyway, as long as it's a good,
Right.
good solid piece of wood.
Amen.
That's all I got tonight. But,
All
Very
right.
nice.
got to start back somewhere.
Yeah. All right.
You
So,
would make me follow Howard with his stuff that he had.
well, you fit right in perfectly. There was no issue following Howard on that. So, all right. So we have Ruby on par for demo tonight. She's going to play us a little video that she did on making a ball bat off center turning. And so it's a recorded video. So keep all comments verbally to yourselves. You can ask questions at the end of the demo. And I'm going to go over to Ruby now. Ruby?
Okay.
I am going to mute everybody. And then you'll have to unmute yourself, all right?
All right. These are the kind of.
Now you need to unmute yourself.
All right. These are the bats and balls that we're talking about. You have to find somebody who can throw a really fast ball and you catch it with the bat. So I'll apologize for the intro to the video. It's I didn't set it up, but anyway, we'll go there now.
Okay.
Okay, so I need to put that in the background. Put that in the background.
You want to have your video up and ready to play before you
I
do
had
share
it up
screen.
already. Okay, here it is.
Can you turn your volume up? Or are you fast forwarding?
Definitely something wrong with the audio there, Ruby.
Yeah, we're not hearing anything, Ruby.
Maybe you can
Had
just
it working the
explain
other
as we
day.
go.
Yeah, we had it working the other day. Okay, maybe this will work. It says it's at 100%.
Yeah, but your share screen's not picking up the audio is what the problem is.
Okay, can you overdub it then as you're playing?
Let's try this. Nope.
No. It still says it's muted on your screen. It's an X next to the speaker.
Okay, try this now.
Looks like your picture froze.
It's not going to happen for
There
a
we
little
go.
bit, I'm afraid.
There we go.
What we're going to do today is something a little more difficult than usual, geared more towards an intermediate or an advanced turner. We're going to make this bat, and it managed to catch a fastball halfway through it. So this is what is called an off-center turning, and it's a spindle spindle turning. So we're going to follow the rules for spindle turning. Basically, this ball is just a bead, so you turn from the top to the lower parts, and the same thing going downhill on the bat. Now, if you're a total beginner, I'd say don't try this. Try making just the bat by itself, and try making a sphere for the ball. And once you feel comfortable doing those, then you'll know the process, you could go ahead and try something like this. Now, before you approach this project, you want to give it a little bit of thought. And what I do, lay it out first on paper to determine what size I want to make it. Now, you see these red lines that are on here. This one goes through the center of the sphere, and this one goes through the center of the bat. Both of them meet at the bottom of the bat. And so we're only using the two centers over here for turning the two parts. Okay? Now, I don't usually do this, but I laid it out in magic marker on the wood. And that's mostly so it would be visible to you. The red lines indicate where our centers are, and you can see here where I've marked the center. I've come at right angles down on the wood and found the center of the piece. And on this end, here's the center for the bat, and here's the center for the ball. Now, by doing this, you can also calculate what size piece of wood you want. You'll be able to tell the length of the
Ruby, can
wood
you
by
move your
adding
mouse up off
maybe
video
half an
controls?
inch to 3/4 of an inch on each end of the bat. Can't hear you, Dan. And
Move your mouse up off the video controls up
I
to the
know
top
the
left.
widest part of the bat coming out to the widest part in this case is about 2 3/4 inches, so I gave myself an extra inch, okay, just for the purposes of turning. Now the thickest part of this is the bat itself at 2 inches, so I only needed this much wood here, and I gave myself a little bit of wiggle room on there as well. So just because this end is this wide doesn't mean it has to be that thick. So that'll help you with finding a piece of wood and conserving what wood you have. Okay, we're going to mount this in the lathe. I've put in a drive center and a live center here, and I'm going to put the center for the bottom of the bat here, and I'm going to bring this up to where the center of the bat is here again. Because what I want to do is just waste a little bit of wood first to get this roughed out. Okay? Okay, so you bring up the tool rest, lock everything down. Before you even think about turning on the lathe, you spin it by hand to make sure that nothing's going to hit. Okay, I turn the speed of the lathe right down, make sure it's in forward. Put your face shield on, and I'm going to use my Sorby spindle roughing gouge. So I turn the lathe on. I turn it up until I've got some vibration happening, then I back off the speed a little bit. Okay, the tool I'm using is the Sorby roughing gouge. This is never, ever, ever used on a bowler. I rest the tool on the tool rest. Notice that the handle is down low near where my pocket would be. I bring it in and begin my cut. Up close to where the ball is, so you can use your beading parting tool for this. Keep the handle down low, anchor it on the tool rest, bring it into the cut, wiggle it to give yourself a little turn. Now, if you don't own a beading parting tool, but you do own one of these square scrapers, such as Greg Killian makes, okay, one of these square scrapers, you can use this. Now, the one thing I want to warn you about is that when you get to this end, you don't want to go past this line. Otherwise, we may take out where the center for this, for the spear is. So what you want to do is make sure you leave about an inch up here, because we don't want to take out where our center point for our spear is. Otherwise, we're going to have trouble turning that part. All right, so it's all clear. Okay, so we've got kind of a wild pattern going on here. Okay, these fuzzy parts are starting to bother me, so I'm just going to clean them up a little bit using my bowl gouge. And I'm just going to come in. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change centers to the center for the sphere. I let it come down. You don't change the tail center at all. It stays exactly the way it was. Okay, having moved that, you notice how it's just hitting the tool rest. So you have to make sure you move the tool rest so that it's out of the way. Always spin it first before you commence. Okay. Now I'm just putting this off here. Now all I want to do is come down to where the center of the sphere is. And I think I stop and check. Okay. You can see where already we've come in on to where the bat is. And I'm just touching the top of the sphere here, so now I need to make it round. So I'll go a little further. Okay, we're almost at round. Okay, now I can come in a little more on each side. I'm still a little bit off here on being round, so I'll come in a little bit further. Okay, we now have a diameter for our ball. Okay, this is where we have to be careful because we have to come in now and start making these cuts. It's better if your sphere, your ball is actually narrower than a full sphere. So what I want to do is with pencil, just give myself a line as to where the center is. Okay. And I'm going to start to turn into it just a little bit. Now, I'm just using a half-inch spindle gouge. So you start with the flute and the bevel's just touching, and you roll the tool into the cut. Okay? Now, I'm going to use my spew. Come in on an angle cut. What you want to do when you come in on that cut is make sure that this side of the bevel is pointing exactly in the direction of the cut you want. So on this side, I want the cut going in this way. And that can be a rough cut, so hold on tight. Okay, now I can refine my spear a little more. And you have to look at the top of the spear in order to see the shape that you're forming. So I can see that on this I need to come in here. Okay. So you can see that it's come along quite well. What I'm going to do now is change back and do a little more, refine the bat a little more, and then I'll come back and work on this joint between the spear and the bat. I've gone back to the center for the bat, and before I turn I want to spin it a little bit and just make sure that I've got everything where I want it to be, and that it's clear of the tool rest. Now I want to take off a little bit here. And as I'm going, I'm checking because I don't want to go too low. That's one thing I like about this tool. You can angle it just like a spew and actually make a cut like a spew. Okay, you can see where it's come in now a little bit on the spear, but that's okay. I'm going to take this down a little further because I've got to get the bat to round. Okay, so I'll start right here. Okay, not quite. Okay, just a little bit more. Okay, that's now round. Now, someone may ask, well, why don't you finish the bat all the way up to here? If I were to do that, what I would end up with is this very narrow area down here. And I want a little more stability down there since I'm turning all this just between centers. Okay? Okay, now on the other side of the spear. Now, obviously I'm turning with a green piece of wood. Normally I turn these bats with only with dry hardwood. However, dry hardwood this thickness was not available for this demo. mostly out of poplar, maple. Okay, so having defined that part, I'm going to go back now to the center for the spear and try and turn it into the back. Okay, this part is probably the hardest part you have to cut. Okay, that I'll clean up a little later. Still a little more to go on both sides. Now let's see. I'm going to try my bowl gouge and see if I can get a nice clean cut coming in. And I'm going to try my bowl gouge, see. I want to make sure this bevel is pointing in on an angle with a tight grip. Okay, refine it with my skew. Okay. I turn the tool to engage the cut. Okay, one more cut with my bowl gouge. Well, actually, this is a fairly clean joint. I'm not too worried about the fact that this is not rounded all the way in yet. I can make a couple cuts and try and correct that. Okay. Recently, I had to make 2 of these bats, and both of them were going to be used as gifts for Little League coaches. Now that's kind of a messed up cut there, but it's really hard to try and come straight in. I will try it with a banana. And see if I can't get in that little cut right there. So I know where to go in. I'm just going to make a pencil line here, so I have a better idea. I have a feeling that's just going to have to be sanded out in there. If you've never used a Badan, they work really well because they're half of a skew, so they can get into slightly tighter corners. I'll try again with the skew. Okay, so there's not much of the ball holding on here, so we want to go over to this part. Whoa, it's not the way to make this skew cut. Kind of hard to pick which tool is going to get into that area the best. Okay, this area I think I can take off when I go back to the bat. I just want to round this a little more. Actually, find when you turn yours, dry wood turns easier than this does. Okay, one more cut with the skew and try and keep it where it's supposed to be. Okay, I think that would be okay. At this point, maybe a smaller finger there. Okay, at this point, any sanding you want to do on the ball, you would do it this time. This little mark I wouldn't worry about whatsoever. You can sand that out later. Okay. The hardest thing is to make this cut in here, so we may have to come back to this angle again later. Alright, so I'm going to change it out now back to the bat. Actually, I thought this maple was a little harder than it is, and it appears to be a fairly soft maple. So it's not cutting quite as clean as I'd like. Alright, I think I can live with this. I mean, it's just going to take some sanding to fix up these areas in here, so I can go ahead and take this part off now. Gouge if you wanted for this part. And what I'm looking at is the top here. Give me an idea if I'm fairly straight. See where I'm cutting in here, but I'm not cutting here. That's because the wood itself is moved. Okay. A lot of that I can sand in later. But what I want to look at is the transition from here coming into here. So this, I don't want to come in too much there. I wonder if I let this out a little bit, if that'll help. There. Alright, so there's some discrepancy here that I can sand out. Okay, so I'll worry about coming down here and shaping the rest of the bat. Okay, so the end of the bat has a bead basically here that comes into kind of a cove. So we need to form the bead, leave room to cut it off, and transition it into the side of the bat. I'm going to use the beading parting tool. So when you the beading parting tool, start with it flat up, and then you just basically roll it into the cut. You have to be careful if you don't go too far. And you also have 4 other edges, so if you want to use one of those edges, pick one that's sharp, and do a scraping cut with it, you can. Okay. But I find this will give you can get yourself some very nice round beads with it. Now you can use the skew. If you want, this entire part you can do with the roughing tool. You want to come above the wood and down on the bevel. As soon as it starts to cut, you come into it. Okay, I'll just quickly show you what causes a catch with a skew. When you're working with the skew, I'm going to turn this down to real slow speed. That's a little slow. So you rest it on the tool rest, you let the bevel rub, you slowly bring it up, and as soon as it starts to cut, you just continue the cut. Now, where people get screwed up is instead of just continuing when it starts to cut, okay, so here you can see it's just cutting, okay, they get greedy and they lift the tool up on its edge and they come off the bevel, and you can see for yourself what it's doing. So there's a fine line, I'll do it at regular speed, not the catch part preferably, as to how far you let it cut. So it's not cutting, it starts to cut, and I keep it at that point on my tool rest coming down. If I try to take a deeper cut, I'm going to screw myself up. If I want to come down here more, start at this end, and each time you come back a little further, and then you create your taper. See, it's almost like working with plastic. Okay. Blend these two in a little bit. Okay. Okay. Now, normally I get it a lot smoother than that coming along here. Part of it is because the wood is moving so much, but we'll try and take this out. And I think I'll use not gonna worry about that part. I can hand sand that off. Now normally, what I would be doing is I would be hand sanding the entire bat, okay? Okay, so you take this down just a hair further. So there you have it. Like I said, these will clean up. So basically, there you have your bat halfway through your ball.
You have your ball halfway through the bat.
Your bat halfway through.
Do you want to say that again?
All right. Okay, so basically, there you have your ball halfway through your bat. A minute ago, I said it wrong. We had to retake this part.
It's going in.
I'm glad someone else said that
So you
before
get
me.
the basic idea of how it's turned off center. If you worked with a really hard, dry piece of wood, you wouldn't have quite the problem that I had with it bending and going off center. Once you get the ball part done, then you would do all of the hand sanding. Then when you go back to the bat, at this point, that's when you would sand all of this. Most of this I'll leave and I'll sand it later. To clean up these little cuts in here, generally it's pretty hard not to get some movement. So what I do is I go in later with a file and sandpaper, and you can sand those little ridges right out and blend them right in. Now, somebody once asked me, well, aren't you going to put any finish on it? At this point, no, I wouldn't. And the reason is that the ball itself, I paint white. Okay, so here you have it. And if I put finish on it, I don't want to get any finish on the ball, because then the paint won't take to it really well. And the other thing is I want to make sure I get finish in here. Okay, and if I have the finish in here, then when I'm painting the bat, if I screw up and I get some paint over here, I can wipe it off with a damp cloth or a wet brush quite easily. Okay? Now, when you go to make the lines for the stitching on the ball, those actually form a circle. Okay, I use a circle template, and you can kind of guesstimate which of these will work. And just draw on half of a circle here, turn the bat 180 degrees, use the same circle, put the template back on, draw half a circle there, and you can see these two areas here. Just bring them down so that you have a circle continues here. And the same thing, basically, I didn't quite center that real well. If you have an indexing position on your lathe, that makes it even easier. Okay, so you get the idea of how to draw the lines on. And then from there, it's just with red paint, make little V's all the way along. And you just continue in that direction until it comes back and it meets here. Okay, and that's basically all there is to it. Okay, to take this off the lathe, what I would do is take it over to a bandsaw, and I have a V-block cut, and I lay it in the V-block, and I would just nip off the two ends square. Most of the baseball bats and that I've looked at, they're all square there anyway. Now the water just from the force of turning is starting to come outward on this, so it's going to be a little while before this is dry enough that I could finish sanding it and paint it. However, it gives you the idea of what to do and what kind of problems you can run into. Don't use wet wood. This was the first time I ever tried it with wet wood, so I definitely won't be using it in the future. Okay, once you've mastered making these, and you've got the idea of turning on two axes, and you have a much bigger lathe, otherwise you'll have to scale it down, you can then go to this bat, my worm bat, and just like the other bat, this one is turned on two axes. One axis goes along the handle of the bat out this way. The second axis goes through the top half of the bat. And you leave kind of a bulky area here in the center. And then what you do basically is you carve these areas. Okay? Because you'll have little pieces coming out here where you mount your centers. All right? So it just gives you another challenge, another direction to look in. Okay? If you have any questions, I'm live during this session, and I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. And thank you for inviting me and watching the demo. I hope you learned something.
All right, what a demo, Ruby. All right, folks, if you have any questions, now's your opportunity to ask Ruby on the processes and what she was doing there. Floor is open.
Does anyone have any questions they'd like to ask?
You know what, Ruby? I understand why you went from, okay, you did some of the bat, and then you went to the ball, then you went back to the bat. I understand now, because you understood where the bat was going to be with the ball. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
What I always did was the ball first, and then I did the bat to it, but I wasn't able to get that kind of detail.
Yeah, whatever you do, don't use green wood. That was probably trying to cut those V cuts. That was the roughest I've ever had to cut on any piece of wood. I'll be honest with you.
You made a difference by showing to do both at the same time.
Okay, good.
That made a lot of sense. Really cool.
Very
too.
good, thank you.
The wet wood makes
Really
the
enjoyed
demo
it.
fun, Ruby. You only use that stuff in demos.
Yeah. Now, Scott, you made a comment about don't turn a badan on its side like it is dangerous. Actually, turning the badan on its side like that and rolling it into the cut, is exactly the same as making a bead roll with a 3/8 beading parting tool. Honestly, it is not dangerous.
It is if you have a tapered badan. Not all badans are square. Some are tapered, and if you turn the taper like that, you're gonna catch the corner of that tool, and it's gonna bite you.
Well,
because I've done it. That's how I know that.
All of mine are square, so I guess I'm okay.
Yeah, but you didn't say that it was square. You have to signify that that was a square badan, because not all badans are square.
Well,
Got
I
to keep
thought
the
you
cut in
could-
the middle of the. Got to keep the cut in the middle, Scott.
Yeah. Hey, thanks.
Right,
thanks,
I
Ruby.
agree.
That was a very good demo.
But if that badan is tapered, you can't keep that cut in the middle. When you lay it on its side.
I've never seen a tapered badan.
Well, I'll get
because
one
I
and show
learned
it
how
to you.
to use a badan when I was in France,
What
And
what is the Badan? What is the Badan? What are you guys talking about?
the Badan has the bottom is flat, and then the cutting edge goes up on one side only, and then it's flat again. And you sharpen the bevel edge, and you use it upside down with the bevel up.
I have one in my hand right now if you want to see it.
Okay, can you highlight him?
Hello. I
Who
can
was that?
do, that's
Oh.
me, Scott. But
Hey,
this,
Scott, how you doing?
this is a tapered Badan. As you can see, the taper.
Turn it sideways.
You can see it's
No,
straight on it. You can see the taper. But this is a Badan right here. So you can see it's got the.
Yeah, see, the Badan that I used has significantly more angle, and it's not tapered. I use the European Badan, and I can't speak to yours.
This is a Sorby. This is a Sorby Badan.
So if somebody wants to highlight me, I'll show you mine because mine's more tapered than Scott's.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, my taper is almost 45 degrees.
There's mine.
Okay.
Slow down. Bring it down.
Right there.
Turn it. Yeah, and see, yours is tapered,
okay.
whereas
Yeah, mine.
none
mine
of
goes,
mine are.
Mine goes from 3/8 to 3/16 on the top.
Yeah, mine is 3/8 all the way through.
If I turn this on its side, I guarantee you it's going to catch because I've done it by accident.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gerald is correct that I'm using a French Badan. The English Badans are the tapered ones. So, are there any other questions?
No, hey, Ruby, that was really good.
Ruby,
Well, hopefully-
very, very. Ruby, I'm going to jump in. That was a great demo. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Don't you be blaming the English on the Badan. The word Badan is French.
You're
What we
right.
do is we take a French word and a French tool, we make a new tool, we still call it the French tool, and we market it and people buy it. He is completely right, and a lot of the Badans that are sold in the UK, if half of the turners know what a Badan is, are chamfered at the end. They have a bevel at the bottom edge, rather than the traditional French Badan that is flat-sided, totally flat. It went straight in down to the bottom of the box. And I only know this because of Ashley Isles, because I went to him with a tool and I said, I want you to make something like this. And he said, that looks like the old-fashioned Badan that I used to make in the 70s. Nobody's ever asked for one of them. And I said, well, then I don't need it. And it stayed exactly where it was. But yeah, I can see both arguments there. I can see both sides. And certainly, I can't say that it would be dangerous because I've never used one. So I'm going to take Scott's word on that.
Yeah.
But I can jump in and say about the two different Badans. But the Badan is definitely French. You know, it's kind of, well, beef bourguignon. It's either a beef bourguignon or it's a stew.
Right. Well, when you sharpen a Badan, you put the bevel edge against your stone and sharpen it. But before you use it, you have to take a slipstone and on the top edge, away from the bevel, like if this is the bevel, then on this side, you have to take the burr off. If you leave the burr on, it's going to catch.
Yeah.
And that's another part to it. But if you've ever used a 3/8 beading parting tool for forming beads, the Badan works exactly the same way.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see Scott's wouldn't work that way.
You're right. And that's because of the taper.
Yeah, yeah.
And I apologize for the quality of the filming and the angles and that if they're different than what you're used to. What happened was I don't do videos as a rule, and Rob Summerlin happened to come over and he said, we need to film you doing something, and all of the filming he did by hand, holding a handheld camera. And so I have to give him credit because he did a pretty good job for using a single camera by himself.
This whole evening was very enjoyable.
Well, great. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Al.
It was very enjoyable.
Good demo, Ruby.
I enjoyed it too.
I absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. And I have the same Badan you do, Ruby. So I'm thinking, okay, I can follow you. I'm like, yay.
If I had to pick one tool out of all my tools, that tool would be that tool, and the 3/8 beading parting tool would be my favorite tools, because you can do so much. You can use them as a parting tool. You can use them like a skew. You can use them to form beads.
Yep. I agree. I agree. I have many tools, but it's only because I want to, because they're really fun to buy and play with.
Yeah, well, I was
I feel the same way.
I was just going to jump in there and say, I did a video saying to people, just because you've seen somebody using a tool, it does not mean that you can use it. Do not all go looking for French badans.
No, you're not going to find them.
Tool.
Well, it looks like to me you have different gouges, and they're all ground different by different people. And the same thing will go for a Badan.
Yep.
Yeah, we already know we can make these badans because they sell the tool steel on Amazon, because we've been there with Scott.
Yeah.
Oh, great,
Well, there's
Matt.
certainly Matt, there's certainly not a lot to the badans. There's not a lot.
It's just a square piece of tool steel. Square piece of tool steel ground at the right angle. So yeah. And I'm with Ruby. I'm with Ruby in that my beading and parting tool, I didn't know it was called a beading and parting tool. I just knew it as my parting tool. It was the first one I ever had, and I still use it today. And it's one of my favorite tools because it's so versatile. I'm with Ruby on that too. So, and a lot, you can use a Badan in a lot the same way. So it's just, it's a good solid wide tool, and you can do that with it. So yeah.
Matt, what is the dimension on your square to bar? Is it like a 1/2 inch, 3/8?
Oh, I don't know.
3/8 works the best.
Yeah, what Ruby says.
Gives you some stability.
3/8?
Yep.
Yeah, 3/8 by 3/8. And I have mine ground on about a 45-degree angle.
Me too.
Okay, what determines the angle of the ball to the bat?
Center's got to be within the bat, right?
Right, the center has to be within the bat. So like at the very start of the video, if you looked at the diagram that I drew on the wood, I drew the ball so that at least half of it is still inside the bat. If you make it outside, you're going to have it come apart on you. And if you do want to draw it out on the wood first so that you can draw where your center lines are for the ball and the axes for the bat.
Good question.
Yes. And when you do this one, the wood bat, okay, you have this axis going through here. And what I did was I had a square piece come out here so that my tail center went in right here. And then when I for doing this piece, this part with the axes this way, the wood came out and I went to here so that I had my tail center coming in here so that I could turn this half. And then it was just carve this center part to create the metal.
That's so cool, Ruby.
It's so cool.
It really is.
Ruby, you
really
need to
is.
Crazy
demonstrate
good.
that one.
That is so good.
The problem is they take a while to do the carving part on that.
I think you did a good job, and I really enjoyed it.
Well, thank you.
Very good.
They are a lot of fun to do, but definitely whatever you do, don't use a wet piece of wood. Cutting the V's on the side of the ball, coming in here, making these cuts is extremely difficult on that wet wood because the whole thing was moving all the time. Whereas a dry piece of wood, you can make your cuts and you can get a nice clean cut on both sides. And that gives you a close up. Ooh. Maybe if I turn this light out. Nope, that didn't work either. Okay, you can see the little V's that I painted on the lines in order to create the seams for the ball.
Yes.
Okay?
My goodness.
Good. Beautiful.
Very enjoyable evening, Ruby. Very enjoyable.
Well, good. If I inspire one or two people, then it was successful. Now, as far as the angle of the bat to the ball, that's entirely up to you, Roger. You can make it 90 degrees, you can make it a 45. Okay. I think if you have the 45 though, let me grab one of these. More of a 45 coming in here. This one's almost straight and that one's more of a 45. I think it looks more like it's pushed its way through the bat.
Like the bat was made of silly putty or something.
Right. Okay.
Very cool.
And that's it, folks.
Thanks, Ruby.
Okay,
That's great.
one
Very
quick
nice.
question, Ruby.
Great,
One
Ruby.
quick question.
Great.
Are
Go
there
ahead.
any instructions on the web as for dimensions and that? I have two grandsons that I would like to maybe make one for their coaches because they're really good, even though my grandsons aren't, but the coaches are great. Can I go on the web anywhere and get dimensions for this?
What I did was literally I just took some brown paper and I drew a picture of both the size bat that I wanted.
Okay.
I drew the bat and then I took that circle jig that you saw and I figured out where I wanted to put the circle against the bat. And I
Okay.
drew that and figured out where the center of that circle was and then drew my lines so I knew where the centers were for the bat and the ball.
Oh, perfect.
So you could make a bat this big, or you could make one that big, you know.
Yeah, I'm thinking, mid-range, 20, maybe 24. But thank you, Ruby. I really enjoyed this. I truly, this was great.
Great. I'm glad to hear that.
Okay.
Any other questions?
All you got to do is get in contact.
And Tim's put in a good video on how to use a Badan.
Yep. Thanks, Tim. Thanks again, Ruby.
You're very welcome. Thanks for asking.
All right, I think Dane is on the phone, so we're going to switch back to gallery for now, and I'm going to start off.
I just want to say, Ruby, thank you so much.
You're welcome, Al.
I enjoyed it very.
My club had a demo this past weekend from Greg Gallegos, and he demonstrated some of his carving techniques and dry brushing. So that's what I've been doing in the shop this afternoon. There's a little carving and a little dry brushing.
Wow.
Very
Did
cool.
you use one of those what is it called? The carver I have one. What is that called? The one that goes reciprocating carver. There we go.
No, what?
It
No,
would come to me eventually. Yay, me.
I have one. Okay, but I did not use it on this. I used carving burrs on a rotary tool.
Okay.
I use my micromotor, and I used for most of it I used the saber-tooth burr, flame burr.
Okay, I have that. Yeah.
And then and you can, I mean, if you've got one of those, you can use it.
I do.
And I did that with these bits here, and most of them. And then I came in, because it leaves some of the teeth marks. I came in with a stump cutter burr, a sphere stump cutter burr, and cleaned things up, cleaned everything up inside. And then I did a little bit of rotary sanding on the outside just to take some of the fuzzies off.
Okay. And so are you dry brushing afterwards, Matt, for your coloring?
Yes, I am.
Brushing?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Now,
So this is just.
I use a toothbrush. What do you use for dry brushing? I know a lot of people use a fatter brush. I've been using a toothbrush because I get them free. Okay. I'm cheap. I've been using the toothbrush because the dentist gives it to me.
Hey, whatever works. If you can make it work, then oops, that's not what I wanted to do. If you can make it work, then go for it. There's a lot of different ways to do it. Greg used some stencil brushes.
Oh wow.
So yeah, as long as all you're doing with the dry brushing, you got to get it really dry. So like here's my little my little paper towel. I was making sure the brush was very dry every time I put it on the wood. So you basically just want to come across it like, when you're dry brushing, you're coming across like this, across the ridges. You don't want to go down the ridges. You want to come across the ridges so that you just get the paint on the top, and you got to make sure the brush is really dry. So, I get the paint on the brush, I wipe it off on the little palette thingy, and then I wipe it off on the paper towel more until there's hardly any paint coming off on the paper towel, and then you just very lightly touch the tops of the ridges.
I found if you use a stiff brush, it works even better than a very soft, flexible one.
Yeah, Ruby's done a lot of that. So you're very good at it, Ruby. So yeah.
Yeah,
and that's probably why
a stiff brush will just stay on the tops, whereas a very soft, flexible one, the hairs will drop down where you don't want them to go.
Yeah, if you're not careful. Yeah, very true.
Yeah, so go to the dollar store and buy the cheap brushes because they're usually the stiff ones.
It's $1.25 store now. In the US, we don't have a dollar store. Everything is $1.25 now.
Can you tell my mother was Scottish?
Mine too.
So thanks, folks. That's what I got for today. Next up is Doug.
Hey guys,
Hey,
how is
Doug.
everybody? I've been kind of busy. I've done a couple of things here. I'll show them fairly quick unless there's questions. These are a couple of pieces. These are maple. They were some things in a kids department in a church that closed its doors, and they said, "You want this wood stuff?" Sure. So I've got a bunch of these. I just turned two just to see what they do. They are maple, hard as a rock. Took the texturing from the Sorby tool really well. So there's that. Filled in the texture with some white wax, and it just did a wonderful job. Really happy with that. Somebody did these, and I thought what a great idea. And so I knocked it off. That's walnut. I did 2 in catalpa and this 1 walnut, and very simple turning, just big enough to put the cushion in. That cushion came from Amazon. Yeah, that cushion came from Amazon. I think there's 3 in a pack for like $1.50 or $2, something like that. They're super cheap. So anyway, I made 3 of those. They're ready to go for a show I've got coming up. Speaking of catalpa, nice little, that was a scrap piece, a little cut off of some pieces I did. And then this one, what is this one? Sumac. That was a piece left over from the chalice that I did. Beautiful color. That red is natural. But just a little natural edge piece there. Been wanting to do some plates for a plate rack that I bought recently, a big antique plate rack. There's one out of pine. That's construction. So there's my 2x entry. That one came out pretty nice. It's a little heavy. Right here in that transition, it's thick, but in the very bottom, it's not all that thick, and up here in the sides, it's not thick. It's just in that very bottom. So, but it's got a lot of sap. It was very sticky, even though the wood itself is dry. And then I did another one. I wanted to turn a little bit nicer one. This one is hornbeam. I did it yesterday. The piece of hornbeam that was laying over on the side and had a few little wormholes in it, as you can see. Quite interesting. But that one came out real nice. I love the colors in that.
Is that typical colors for hornbeam?
Yes, sir. As far as I know, the pieces I've had have all had those colors.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, I haven't seen much of it. This one came out 8 1/4 inches in diameter, and it's about 1 inch top to bottom. So it's not a big piece, but that's what the wood gave me. Was going to do a catalpa piece, and I realized just before we started that it had cracks that went top to bottom. So I tossed that piece and said, let's do something different. And I grabbed, this was the closest thing I had. So that's it.
Right on.
That's what I did this week.
Nice.
Cool. Thanks, Doug.
Thank you,
Very
Doug.
cool.
You're welcome.
Next up is Sandy.
Oh, I'm back. Okay.
There she is.
Yeah, I'm back. I wanted to show you that I was working with Indian rosewood this week, and or Sisu, whatever you want to call it, which is local to our area. And I wanted to make sure that you didn't think I was showing the same piece twice. So this is this week bowl, and it's just a
very nice,
this gorgeous piece of wood. And this is one.
What finish did you put on it?
I did a couple of coats of sanding sealer, and I like that Zinsser, the bullseye one, you know, that no wax kind of thing. And so I seal this because this wood has a tendency to have a lot of oil that will leach out at you and make you crazy. So I find if I seal it a couple of 2-3 times with that Zinsser sealer, then I can put a wipe on poly, which is what I typically do. And this is only 1 coat.
Very nice.
So is it, so what is, Sandy, what it's a Zinsser finish?
Nice.
It's clear?
It's
a Zinsser sanding sealer.
Universal sanding sealer with no wax. And so what I find when I have a wood that's kind of oily or testy or dry, you know, you get a lot of tear out in your sand until you turn purple and that kind of thing. I find that if I seal it, I then have to come in and put a poly or a lacquer or a shellac, whatever I'm going to use for a tongue oil, whatever I choose to use. I tend to lean towards polyurethane. I know a lot of people don't, but I kind of, being a typical female, I like bling, I like shiny. So I like a shiny finish on that.
Amen.
So this is this week's, and this was last week's. This is the same wood bought from the same place, but 2 different chunks. So this was last week. So I wanted to let you know I didn't really show same piece twice. There are 2 of them.
We weren't thinking that.
They're beautiful. They're both beautiful.
Well, but anyway, so that was one of the pieces I did this week, and another couple, I don't want to take up a lot of time, but we're getting a little
Take up,
older.
we've got nobody else behind you.
up
Take up
time.
all the time you want.
Oh,
Plenty of time.
we're
What
getting
do
a
you
little
have?
older than
Show us.
my old. And so my husband, my George said, you know, he talked to me for a couple of years. He said, you know, you do all this work. We really ought to have a couple of urns. And I kept thinking, I don't want to think about that. I don't want to do that. So last year I made a couple and they were just kind of okay. So then this year I just went for the big guns, so to speak. So this is mine. This is
Wow.
my, wow.
Very nice.
Okay. And we come in through the bottom, as you can see. Now, George
That's
is
really nice.
but he's a little bigger. So his is taller and it has the same pattern, but and he comes through the bottom as well. So this is his. So this is, it's kind of a depressing thing to talk about or do. It's like, okay, you know, I don't want to jump in here too quick.
When they get our age, they'll understand that statement, Sandy.
I had to make my wife's.
Oh gosh. So anyway, I'm covered in that area and I made my husband happy. He doesn't have to worry about where he's going to go. And we're going to go in the same color. We may not go in the same spot, but we'll go in the same color. And then Doug, you and I were of like minds this week.
There you go.
Yeah, there we go. And here's the bottom, kind of like
Beautiful.
yours.
Very nice.
Yeah. So I feel at one with you, Doug. So that was my fun thing for the week. The urns, not so well. The urns took way longer. I can't say I finished those in a week. They were probably, I don't know, 5 weeks in the making, at least, because they're segmented rings, and you know you have to
They're
cut each one.
nice feature ring too.
Yeah, and then build the feature ring. Which if I do that again, I will probably drink more than I should.
I understand.
That's a dog that I don't want to attack anymore. I said, okay, I did that. I don't have to ever go back to that again. So anyway, that's where I was this week. This is only this week, and then the Sisu. The other ones were 5 to 6 weeks minimum of being finished for our final resting place. If the kids don't lose them. The kids could lose them and we could end up in a box. Who knows?
I think my oldest boy, if he's putting ashes in my urn, if some spill off on the side, he'll probably just like dust it away.
Exactly. Yeah. So
no, I don't really mean that. But anyway,
I know you don't.
Beautiful job. And
Okay.
now what I want to express right now that you just did all that segmenting. Now there was a gentleman earlier today that he was talking about doing it, hollowing it out.
I did that, yeah.
No. There's the gentleman earlier that showed something. Are you still on?
Howard King.
Yeah, yes.
Yes,
no,
I am.
Really, if you really, I think if you want to do it, a segmented thing right is to have all your wood maybe sliced 2-inch pieces, maybe. I mean, Sandy here. I mean, hers are segmented. What about 9/16 or so? I mean, that's a lot of work. Lot of work. But I'm saying, if you want to do it earned, and I the way I kind of heard you say that you need to like to maybe that you need to make it earned. Make it in sequences, maybe 2-inch pieces, and 2-inch of a log, but give yourself 2-inch pieces at a time and glue them together. And the way this young lady is doing it right now, then the wood will dry a little bit more as you're going, and it'll dry a little bit more as you're going. It'll dry a little bit more as you're going.
Mm-hmm.
And and you'll be in control of it, and it probably will not crack on you by doing it.
Yeah. I've never encountered too much cracking because I'm not segmenting. When I do segmenting, I don't do green wood, so it's not as wet. I'm cutting dry wood. Typically I'm working with, I try and buy the inch thick wood. I know that you can go to stores and they say they charge you for an inch and you get 3/4. I actually have a supplier not that far from us who actually gives you an inch of wood. So by the time that we cut the angle that I need for each segment and then run it through the drum sander or the planer or whatever you're going to do, I typically use a drum sander because of the glue. It comes out to be about 3/4 of an inch thick, and then I just kind of graduate up and then in to make what I'm going to make. If I'm going to make an urn, if I'm going to make a bowl, I just kind of graduate up and then stop up here when I think I look good, or the wood looks good.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Glue 2 segments together and start doing your hollowing. Glue another segment together.
Yeah, each ring. Yeah, and that's exactly.
That's what she does, Al.
Yeah.
Do your hollowing,
Yeah, that's exactly what I do. By rings. I do a couple of rings. I do a bit.
It doesn't have to be whatever you're saying. It could be 2 inches, 2.5 inches, whatever. And and by the time you're working the work, the wood is drying. So
yes.
Well, typically most people who do segmenting are using kiln dried hardwoods. So it's usually there's not a concern about the wood being wet or dry. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, I don't think I've ever used green wood, and for myself, I can only talk for me. I've never used green wood in segmenting. I've done kiln dried, like Matt said, a wood for me anyway, because of all the, I don't want it to move too much because I don't want my glue to pop away.
I have been giving a log from a tree that the dog had fun with all his life. And so I mean, what are you supposed to do? So I cut it in pieces, and I made slices, and
yeah, if it works, that's great. I'm just saying, I can only say what I do, and I'm basically don't want anything to go too wrong after I spent all that time on it.
No, of course, right.
So I go with mostly the kiln dried, and they're selling you what supposedly is an inch and it's 3/4. And depending on where you buy it, I do have a dealer near us that we actually get an inch of wood, which is good because it allows me, once I glue the ring together, I always have a solid base, and then I move up with segmentation after that. And once I run it through the drum sander or the planer, depending on how poorly I've done or what the wood looks like, I have at least usually 3/4 of an inch as I move upward and then inward, or however the shape may be. And I do turn as I go. It's, I do 2-3 inches and turn it down, and then glue the next ring on and next ring, and then turn again, and that kind of thing. That's, I think, what takes so long with segmenting.
Very cool.
Okay, I'm done.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you,
thanks.
Sandy.
Thank you.
Looks like we got some more gallery coming in there, Matt.
Oh, yay.
Yep. Dan's got something.
Oh, which one do you have me on?
That one.
That one right there.
Oh, the other one.
I made some whistles.
Wow.
Oh no.
He's gonna demonstrate them.
Slide whistle.
That works.
Oh my God, so cool.
This one's made out of pine. Okay.
Pine.
This one's made out of maple.
Very nice, Dan.
This one made out of, I don't know what kind of wood it is, but it's colorful. Then
Excellent.
this
Wow.
There you go.
I think Dan's trying to put a band together.
That is so much fun to make. They are so much fun.
And I made this one.
Have you seen the train whistles?
Yeah, I'm going to make one of them.
All right, cool.
They are so much fun.
But I'm going to send these to my grandkids. The one,
Yeah, that's
this
a good
one,
place for them.
Your kids
Revenge
will
on
be
your
ecstatic
kids.
that your kids will be ecstatic that your grandkids have those. Yes,
That's right.
but I found out a little trick with these. You know, it's hard to get a good sound out of them and a loud sound. But if you want to make them loud, the thistle, you put it on a 15-degree angle coming up. You start in the middle and you come up on an angle, and this wedge that you cut in, it'll split that in half, that when you blow into it,
Yep.
and give you a much louder whistle and deeper tone.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
So if you ever make them, that's a
Yeah,
little,
the mechanics of the sound is very interesting.
yeah. And it's like the slide whistles, these are kind of cool. And what I did was I put beeswax in it. So it would slide easier. And
I thought you were going to say bear grease.
But that's all I have.
All right.
Those are great, Dan.
Thanks, Daniel.
All right. Let's go over
Thank
to
you.
Dave
Thank you.
Rhodes
That was
and
good.
get ourselves a little bit of a website refresher. Hey, Dave.
Dave.
See you smiling.
I'm trying to decide where I am so I can unmute myself. Am I
You're unmuted.
coming through? Okay,
You're unmuted.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
let me take a moment here to get the screen up. And we'll glance at the website for a few minutes. Okay, I hope you're seeing the website.
We got a website.
All right. We won't spend forever on this. From time to time, we'll point out the website, let you know what the latest things on it are. I hope no one minds. I added something. We've been talking to Mark Saleh, and he's been liquidating. So I thought, we don't normally advertise anything, but in this case, something special. It's Mark. So
this rule
he's going to give us a little video. I stole this from about 3 weeks ago when he was talking about his website. So if you want to know a little more, you've got his phone number down here. You can talk to him, find some of that wood that he has available, along with all the other things that he has. He has quite a bit.
Yeah.
Down here, I don't know if you can read it. It's Billy Bird. I've got to give him credit for the fact that I screwed up several weeks ago. He sent a Martel caliper in to be placed on the template page, and I didn't get it in right away. I suddenly realized that I missed it. So if you're looking for a caliper, you can just barely see it there, but it's a SVG. So if you're looking for something for your CNC machine or your laser engraver and you can cut it, you've got it there.
Al, that's the ones you need.
Okay. And let's see if we can get back to where we were. Oh, I've got to go back to the main page.
Far left, the arrow.
There we
Dave,
go.
who does-
It doesn't look like the far left arrow was ready to return. It had been
Dave, who builds those SVG files? Is that you or is that somebody else?
right. In this particular case, it was actually Billy Bird sent it. I do some
Okay,
of
well,
them. He did one. Other people have done others and sent them in to me. you've got something that you want to send in and it's not an SVG, I can convert
No,
it to an SVG.
I just noticed that my little jig for the indexing wheel has been made into an SVG, and I wanted to thank whoever did that. That's a great idea.
That was probably me. Yeah.
Okay, very cool.
Okay. Also, last week we had a conversation about, hey, let's share some wood and bring it to SWAT. So I decided everybody ought to know that Tim is thinking about bringing some wood, and we might want to take some and do some bartering and do some trading and maybe get some for free, it sounded like. Also, I wanted to point, so people go to SWAT. It's going to be worthwhile just for that. I'm not doing this all the time, but if we end up with a article and it ends up in the newsletter, I'm trying to convert it. I'm trying to be about a week and a half behind the newsletter so that you'll really want to see it in the newsletter. But once the newsletter is about to change over to the new newsletter, I'm putting it on the website. So that means that you should check the newsletter first. And then if it's updated, notice we've got the latest newsletter there. I will have the older newsletters article sitting on the front page, and you can find it. And it'll just be the first page of the article. Click down here and you'll be able to get to the remainder of the newsletter. Just thought I'd mention that to you, give everybody an idea what sort of things we can find. And again, the newsletter itself, the latest version is sitting right here, and you can always find that. And I noticed that someone, I haven't checked who did it yet, but it looks like Matt provided us the next newsletter that's going to end up on the website, and it's currently in the current newsletter. So please make sure you, if you have something that you want to put into the newsletter related to an article, please do it. It's great. It gets used twice. It gets used in the newsletter, and then a few weeks later, it ends up on the website. And I love to put those things on the website.
Wow.
And somebody made the comment, I need to hit the back. I can't hit the back because all these open up in their own page, and I need to go back to them this way. Otherwise, it takes me off to La La Land. Anyway, that's the sort of thing we're seeing on the website now. Please do check out the website. We're about at the end of April showers. So we're going to be going on to the, and there again, newsletters are available here and here, chat. And we're going to be ending up with Mayflowers coming up. So think about the fact that you may want to share a vase or turned flowers or flower patterns. Definitely, if you've got something that could show up nicely on the template page, please send it in. Because we do have the opportunity to show them. They don't have to be CNC. They can be just JPEG. I was noticing people are creating interesting animals, and I happened to see this owl, and I thought, my gosh, there's an owl here. And then there was the mouse. Get us an idea what these shapes are. We have things like the center finder from a few, well, gosh, it's months back now. We're getting a little old on some of these. And we have the tippy top from Cade. So whatever you happen to have, I will convert it to a JPEG. Well, not convert it to a JPEG, convert it to something that's an SVG if it's possible or reasonable, or I don't know why anybody would convert the angel into an SVG, since we're definitely going to turn it. I probably should have converted the wings into an SVG, but I think we were cutting it out in paper or in something thin, so it may not have been worth the effort for that. Okay. I don't know if I was speaking a little too quickly. If you have some faces, I happen to like the faces, and I'm not creative. If you've got ideas for faces for things like this, send them in, because people might not be creative enough to come up with a cute face for something.
One of the things that I did when I started painting faces on the snowmen was I just Google searched for cartoon faces or cartoon eyes, and I got a whole
that's what I ended
swath
up
of
doing.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you just pick the ones you like and use those.
Exactly. Anyway, oh, and this one, I'm trying to read that. I don't remember what. I think that says that it's, let me look real close.
The multi-axis offset guide.
Yeah, but it's Brian Horace, but that's not who sent it in. Somebody else sent it in, and I'm not giving them credit. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, this says where it came from, but it doesn't say who sent it in. So somebody else came up with this multi-axis template.
That came off of Thingiverse, because that's where I got it from. So I have
okay.
So I don't know if that might be the original author.
No, that's who the original author was, right? The Brian is the original author. Oh, and then of course I should give Matt credit again. Boy, we have so much from Matt. I am so impressed.
Well, thank you very much for putting that together, Dave.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So if anybody wants a CNC, and we've got the dimensions for this. This was for the stop arm for the index wheel. I thought that was fantastic. I made one. Thank you, Matt.
You're welcome. Does it work good for you?
It works great. It's a great idea.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to try that one. I got to try that, Matt. Thank you.
There you go.
You're very welcome.
You've got either the JPEG or you've got an SVG if you need, if you have a CNC.
Didn't I do a demo as part of the tool thing a while back?
You did. You did, and that's
where this picture
came from. It came from the actual demo.
I think you did. I got to go back and watch it again.
And there's also an article that I think that we have on it.
Yeah, my retention is not what it used to be. It's okay because I'm older.
We're all there, Sandy.
Anyway, yeah, definitely.
I do have some exciting.
Commenting on that too much.
Okay, I have some exciting news for me. Nobody else. For my first time, I'm going to SWAT this year.
All right.
I'm so excited. You have no idea. I'm so excited. So I will be. I hope so. The only reason I'm telling you this, because most people will just say, okay, you're going to SWAT, is that I'm going to be behind the D-Way booth because he's my neighbor. We are longtime friends. Jimmy Allen, who and his wife Cindy, who own D-Way Tools, and I work with them at various symposiums and things like that. And so I will be there behind the D-Way booth in the vendor area. And the only reason I'm saying is I don't want you to buy anything. I'm not here to sell you anything. I just want you to say hi. Come and say, here I am. And I go, oh, yay. And so that way, when we come to the next meeting, I'll say, I met you. I know you. Matt, especially you, Matt.
Can I use the personal connection can I use a personal connection to get a discount on some D-Way beating tools?
That would be really sweet, but I have to tell you, Matt, I work with them and I do not get a discount. The only discount we have is if you tell me what you want. We have Jimmy Allen, who actually owns it. He has what he is a fanatic about the way his tools leave the facility. If it has a darkened letter D versus a lighter W, it goes in the blemished. I'm not allowed to call it scratch and dent. It makes him crazy when I say that.
Non-conforming.
it will be discounted. So if you tell me what you want and I can look in that pile and find it, it's yours for that price.
Awesome.
So
I will contact you offline. I have a list.
there you go. And so I'm just so excited because I've always wanted to go to SWAT. So I talked to them earlier this year because I'm in Arizona and they're still in Washington. They live right near where I live in Washington. And I said, can we please do SWAT? I'm getting old. Can we please do SWAT? And so we are going to do SWAT this year. So I just want you guys, you don't have to buy anything. I'm not here to pitch tools. I'm not, because you guys all know what you like and what you don't like, and you do what you do and you do it very well. I just want to meet you. That's it. I just want to say, I met you at SWAT. Hi. So there you go.
Great, Sandy.
It is.
And
I'm so
I-
excited.
All right.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Sir.
This is Mark Soleil.
Oh, hi,
Thank
Mark.
you very much for putting that little thing on the website. And if anybody wants to try some samples of wood that I have, I've got tons of project wood, and I'll send them in flat rate boxes. As many things as I can. You just tell me what type you want. We'll put them in there, and we'll have some $10 and $20 boxes full of wood. And depending on how much you buy, you just pay the flat rate box. And I want to get rid of it all. I got about 3.5 tractor trailer truck fulls
Oh my God.
left.
Oh,
So-
wow. I'll be contacting you, Mark, only because
But
I'm
I've got a
teaching.
lot of figured wood. I've got a lot of ambrosia, maple and burls and stuff like that. And people are bringing their trucks and trailers. And I got a guy coming from Florida on Saturday with a truck. I've got Tim Tucker's coming down from North Carolina, the president of the West Highland Wood Turners. He's coming down with a truck and a trailer Tuesday. And I'm just letting it all go because with this stroke stuff, I have to sort of clean up all my mess so that my wife doesn't get left if something happens.
Oh, Mark. Yeah. Wow. I'm going to go to I saw it on the newsletter, so I'm going to go there as soon as we get offline and see
And
what.
everybody can call
what I
me or text me or whatever, and I can deal with them, and I can show them stuff on FaceTime. I can do anything, but I just want to get rid of it because the next time it happens, it may be the end.
Oh, God, no.
Yeah, I just talked to you today, Mark.
Yeah, I know.
Well, we're hoping it's not going to happen again.
Amen, Ruby. Amen.
We all got our fingers crossed on that.
Yeah. Well,
And
anyway,
we'll do our part on what we can do to facilitate some additional liquidation on it. I'm still trying to. I got to get with Dave Rhodes, Mark, on recording because it looks like I'm going to need a secondary person to be on when I call you. When you go to your warehouses to videotape, because I'm not able to record straight from my phone through Zoom. So I'm going to get Dave or I'll get Gary on.
okay.
No problem. Happy to record it.
All right,
And
we'll get it figured out here.
yeah, I just hate to see if something happens to me. I really hate to see some of this.
And my wife
stuff.
said, my wife
You'll
gave me the
wipe
go
out.
ahead to get some more wood from you as well too. So
And if anybody wants to come and visit, they're welcome to come and bring all the trucks or whatever they want.
Where are
Hell
you?
yeah.
Where are you?
I'm
Where are you?
in
Right in Atlanta.
Tucker, Georgia,
Oh, Georgia.
13
Okay.
miles east of downtown Atlanta.
Okay. Yeah.
on the other side of Waco.
Oh, there you go. My son's in Austin, so but that doesn't affect my going to Waco. I'm going there from Washington. So.
Well, thank you all very much.
Well, and
You're
thank
welcome,
you,
Mark.
Mark. And I'm gonna seriously look at what you have available because I'm teaching some classes here in Arizona when I come back in the fall. with the WIT. I know you got the women, the
Women
class. I'm
interning.
teaching some women interning classes here. And so I provide the wood, and because I'm not looking, I don't make any money. It actually costs me money. I don't want to make any money. I just want to more and more women to get involved. If that
Right.
So I'm to the point where it's okay if I provide the material and teach them, as long as they are active and get into it and like it. That's my goal.
And all my wood is dry.
Oh, thank you, Mark. Thank you. Now, are you selling your products, not only your wood, but are you doing your CA glue and all that we use for our
Well, if
finishes?
anybody wants it, we throw it all in a box, I
Oh,
can
there you
use
go.
wood. I can use good turning wood instead of wrapping up paper and filling up the spaces in the boxes. I just throw in chunks of wood, because you get one price. The basic price for an envelope is like $8. The medium flat rate box is like 14, and the large flat rate boxes are 19.51.
Yeah, right, right. So I figure that I'm encroaching on Dane's territory here, but he's close enough. I can go there and get some wood, Dane, if we go together and purchase
Yeah,
a
we
big
could.
bunch. We could.
Carpool, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, I could drive to your place, or at least halfway, and we could
Right.
have. How's
That's
that?
a
We could.
long way to Arizona. But anyway.
Well, no, I'm in Arizona 6 months a year, so
she's just up the road right now.
yeah, I'm currently in Sun City. So I'll be here until we're leaving this Sunday morning early to head back to Washington. But typically I'm here 6 months out of the year. So Dana and I are neighbors.
Yeah,
He doesn't know that.
One of these times I need to come up there and see you.
I know, you do.
Maybe
you do.
Maybe I'll come up and do one of your women turning events.
Yeah, you know what? I belong to the Arizona Wood Turning, so the here, because I live in a RV resort area, so I don't have my shop. If I had my own shop, it'd be a walk in the park thing, no issue. But because I work in a public area, I do belong to the Arizona Wood Turning Association here in Arizona, and they are pretty incredible. And you belong to that as well. And so they have the Kudat Learning Center, which is where I'm going to teach this summer some WIT classes. So just for us ladies.
Oh, okay, got it.
You guys, you don't need us. You're good on your own.
No, that's not true.
Yeah, I knew. I was waiting for you to say that. I was waiting for that one. But anyway, so I'm a snowbird, so I don't really, I'm like a nomad, 6 months here, 6 months there. But Mark, I'm definitely hoping that Dana and I can get together. He can pick out what we want and what we need. I'm going to entrust that to Dane. Dane, you pick out what we want and what we need, and I'm good for half. You got my word.
Okay.
And I really am. I'm good. I'm true to my word. So
yeah, I know you are. Yeah.
So if you think it's good and we can do it, okay, I'm good with it. And I can meet you halfway and we can have breakfast or lunch or dinner, depending on how long it takes us to get there.
Figure something out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. But you pick out what you think is a good thing, and because I like everything, as you know, I like solid pieces. I like segmenting. I like it. I'm old, so I want to try a little bit of everything before I croak.
Right. Okay. All right. Yeah. Mark will figure it out for us.
There you go. That's even better.
Well, anyway, you guys, give me a call if you want to arrange anything or you want to come by here or whatever you can. And anyway, my number is 404-556-1736.
And don't nobody call Mark unless you got more than 5 minutes to spare with him on the phone.
Thank you.
That's the damn truth. You ain't getting on. There is no such thing as a quick phone call with Mark, which is a good thing.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
All
you,
right,
Mark.
All right.
All right, top of the hour. This ends the official meeting.